Well, now that it is all done and over with, it feels great to be the king again. That's right, guys. We brought home the first place trophy up there, finally to hang next to all those number 2s and 3s, complete with Burger King OSU crown. I am once again the king of TT02 in the area. So I'm Chad. This is the Dorky and 40 RC channel. We're not going to talk about me today. We're going to talk about this car and how we got it fast, show you some of that awesome epic racing footage and whatever else. So let's make you faster today.
10 seconds. Rose up trying to spot. Leader is under the driver's seat now. Dumping at number 2 spot, about a half a straightaway back. Good solid race here. All right, I will need Chad, Dutch.
So that event actually happened the weekend before last, and you know, we've had a couple weeks of a straight up oval with TT02 25.5 sportsman truck. I'm dying to wrench on something else now, so we'll be switching back to on-road. So if you're interested in the metrics car, make sure you guys check things out. Oh, and the F1 too. So let's talk about the TT02 here. First thing off the bat, the reason why I think my TT02 is fast and the other fast guys are fast is they have, and I have, drove the crap out of these cars. And the more you run these cars and the harder you bash these cars, the looser everything just gets, and it just seems to just free everything up and just make the car incredibly faster. I had a gentleman ask me to actually build one for him because he got so excited about seeing the King's car. Yeah, I know. It is what it is. But when it's all said and done, building his car and like comparing it to mine, you know, everything was just super tight. It just sets up, like, it's amazing how much these hard Tamiya springs like actually compress. So if you get a new TT02 and you're kind of frustrated with like how it handles and how fast it is, all that kind of stuff, you know, you definitely are just going to have to drive the car a lot to just get things wore in. But there's things that you can do to make yourself faster right off the bat. Definitely go over and get your bearings. You know, I'm always going to recommend Andy's Sort of Fast bearings. Like the steel bearing kit for this is like $22. Doesn't come with bearings, so you're going to replace them with good ones right off of the bat. And then, of course, most tracks are going to allow you to use simple upgrades with the front CVDs and dog bones up here. So basically, they don't fall out. I use the original Tamiya ones, which are steel, and you have to change the ball cups with those as well. I know some people use the racing ones because they can get them off of Amazon and they are maybe a little bit cheaper and they're aluminum. They think they're lighter, but I've seen those things break. This thing has been in some violent crashes and no braking issues at all. The other thing that I've been using a ton of is, of course, this 3-in-1 with PTFE lubricant. I use this for my motor to lube the brushes and stuff after I clean it. I use it pretty much anywhere there is like a moving part. I'll dab some on in there, wipe it with a Q-tip, everything else. When you're building your kit, use the Tamiya grease, run everything in, of course, and then when you are all said and done, take things apart, wipe things down, and do a couple drops like this. And other important things is like where plastic meets plastic, you want to make sure that all of that stuff is really nice and smooth. Like inside of your diffs where you've got plastic on plastic. You know, you can see right here, there is a ton of junk and stuff inside of there. But there's a bearing that's going to go down in there. But the sun gear that's going to go in there is plastic on plastic. It's just like the Losi NASCAR. So, you know, you want to polish and sand the plastic that's on these things. This is like 1990s grade stuff. So it will take a polish for sure. And it will make things better. You can polish any moving part on this thing and it is going to improve it to the nth degree. Now, one other thing that I've been doing a lot is just maintaining my motor quite a bit. I already talked to you about this. What I did is I made some extension leads here. So basically, we got to run bullet plugs and everything else. You can't direct solder your motor. So I will just plug these in, dunk the whole motor in my glass of water there, and just run it, clean it out. I'll spray it out with some deoxit, do that again, spray it out with the air compressor, lube the brushes up and everything with this, run it a little bit. Some people say run it forward. Some people say run it in reverse. Some people say use salt water, distilled water, blah, blah, blah. Really does not matter. Do whatever you need to do. Now, there was a gentleman, call him a gentleman, even though he is a young man, Alec, that beat me at one of our races this year, and he's super fast. Just saw him yesterday. He's a great kid. He and a couple other people were running shorty lipos instead of like stick packs. And now our tracks allow this. We just have to have a plug. So you can see how I've got the bullet connectors here, and I've got the XT60. So I've got these 6400 SMCs that I actually got by trading the Losi NASCAR. So I ended up trading for 3 batteries to the battery guy. And I am going to say that this 6400 pack was paramount in bringing the victory home, just as far as like holding the voltage and everything else. Some tracks, I think, have like a capacity rating and a C rating or something like that, but I've never actually seen it done or enforced. Maybe now that I've said it, like some of our track people might want to start enforcing rules because they like to ruin everybody's fun in some cases, but it is what it is. So the other cool thing that I did with my Cricut cutter is we made some fun wheel dots that actually stuck on and worked. Regular sticker paper on the Cricut. So that was amazing. So again, just run the crap out of your car. That's the biggest thing that I can pretty much tell everybody. I was running the super rad body, even though I've seen truck bodies. I've ran the McAllister bodies. The bodies really, I don't know, make a difference, but I do know just from experience that when we were at our local race and I was running the McAllister body and a inferior battery all day long, I had to come home, take the dog outside, feed him and stuff, and went back for the last heat. I grabbed this body because, it's very lightweight, which I don't really think weight matters, but I think the aero matters a little bit more. But, it's a high risk, high reward because you get way more corner speed out of this body than I think I did, especially on the short tracks. Don't really know how much it helps on the big tracks, but for on-road, it definitely makes a huge difference for sure. But, if you run this body, any body, try to get the thing down, of course, as low as you can. Now, this is all the way down and the lowest body mounts down here, and then I kind of got to shave these down right here, and a lot of people will actually do this. This will help any of your TT02 bodies last longer, is to move your body post down here to the front. And that way, what it does is it protects all of this kind of stuff happening. Now, I know a lot of people run, TT02s are probably racing, on a budget with kids or whatever. And, if you have your body post mounted all the way up here, there's no protection right here, and this will just crinkle and break right there. So for longevity's sake, definitely do something like that. And then, of course, if you're a new or young or inexperienced racer, what you'll want to do maybe is take some shoe goo and drywall tape like I did here. Do your fender wells. This body likes to crack back here in the corner. Always cut your bodies high enough, so you don't get body tucks. I saw body tucks ruin a few people's day yesterday. And then the other place to do it, I didn't do it on this one because, it's older, but from the start, it's probably a good idea to do that on your actual body hole mounts after you've drilled them out and mounted your body. And then go ahead and pop that through just so that way you've got some little extra protection on there as well. And that should help you out. Now, we run all stock gearing and everything else. Definitely don't cheap out on the servo. Definitely don't cheap out on the Tamiya horn. And you also need to get the blue cap that goes with it. So check out my TT02 build video right here where I have all that stuff listed and how you can build one of these and get paint and everything for like $300, even the tools that you need to pretty much build it. And that way it just seems to work the best as far as like getting everything lined up. And if you take a look at mine, you can kind of see how, you know, my steering is centered here and everything is straight up and down, but this servo horn right here has 3 holes, and that screw coming through right there is not in the center hole. It's actually in the hole all the way over to the right, and that just gives the perfect angle for steering left and right and everything else. The arm that the TT02 comes with for steering is always just like not the right size. It seems like these newer servos just kind of have a different little bit of an offset than maybe when they built these parts. Not 100% sure. So other than that, build this thing right when you're putting your screws in and all that stuff. Get them just tight. Don't wrench all the way down on the things and murder them, because you're going to need to take things on and off quite a bit, especially back here on the gearbox and all that stuff. And then what that's going to do is it'll extend the life of your parts, because eventually, you know, these are all self-tapping screws. Eventually you're going to run, they're just not going to hold anymore. So if you don't reach out, if you just don't grunt on these things, you'll be able to actually start to do that and extend the life of your parts a little bit longer instead of things stripping out. You want to be really careful about things that screw into the chassis plate, because if your chassis plate goes, then that means that you have to rebuild the entire car. So obviously you have to take all the stuff on, put it all on a new chassis plate. And you know, it's a fun experience, but not super fun. If you're looking to do the shorty battery mod like this, there is a part on Thingiverse, and I think the same part is on printables that you can do. And then like I printed it on my Bamboo P1S, and what you have to do, I think, is like to get them to fit with mine, I sized them up and down a little bit. Like I think I printed these at like 98%, and then I hit them with like some sandpaper on all sides to just kind of make everything fit super and tight. And the 6400 fits perfectly there with the stock mount. As you can see, there's no flipper or floppy. This thing is in there solid. I did have a crash at the end of Q3, I think on the very last lap, that kept me from getting the TQ. I got in a wreck with one of Martin's brothers, and it sent me over the edge, and Martin ended up getting the TQ spot. But you know, we got the victory in the end. And, you know, he blew out a corner that I've blown out 1,000 times. And next time, I'm sure he will get me. He has been running and racing real hard. I think the Wild Dutchman decided to put new tires on that day and give me a break. His car was definitely coming on at the end and almost got us. But, you know, we ended up getting that W. So that's about it for the TT02, guys. You got any questions or anything about anything that I spoke about, check the Amazon links down below for this. And, you know, that's going to do it. So pretty happy about that. Not so happy about my performance yesterday, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Peace.